today we're looking at the 2020 Infiniti QX50 Edition 30, which is basically Infiniti's 30-year anniversary. It has these nice 20-inch rims, which is the Edition 30 option. Comes with 255/45 tires, which is pretty nice meat for this. It has, instead of a chrome, it's more of a brushed aluminum window trim, which is a little bit more elegant than the chrome being so shiny. Obviously, you see up here the panoramic roof, which is a really nice addition. We move back here to the back. We have again a brushed aluminum dual exhaust tips, a color matched piece here, which on most Infinitis is also chrome. Of course, your Edition 30. Move around here to the side. Got some pretty nice flares in the hood. I mean, you're either going to kind of love them or hate them, because they are pretty aggressive, considering this is kind of more of a smaller sport utility vehicle with a 4-cylinder turbocharged in it. I do like the black chrome accent they put around this front grille, but it would have been really nice if they would have carried that over to this side trim as well. I think it would have gave it a really nice look. But overall, not a bad little SUV. I mean, it's an Infiniti. What do you expect? But I will say, putting gas in this earlier today, my Q50 gas door is on the passenger side. This gas door is on the driver's side. So it's a little confusing. I don't know why they just don't stick with one side. But for those that don't already know this, if you look right there, you'll see next to your gas gauge an arrow, just not really zooming in on, and that will point to what side the gas is on. But overall, normal Infiniti interior, nothing special. Decent room back here. Could almost fit a full-size adult comfortably, at least with the front seats all the way back. It does have push button, which it's locked, but you push the button and it'll automatically open the trunk, and you push it again, it'll automatically close the trunk. Alright, now looking inside, pretty standard Infiniti affair here with your dual displays here. This is a 2020 model, so it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto right here, and obviously your GPS. Moving down here, your push button start is down at the bottom instead of up here. You have your drive modes, which on this you have Eco, Standard, Sport, and Personal. And I will say Eco mode is absolutely horrible in this car unless you are on the freeway, but trying to do any type of stop and go traffic or city driving with Eco mode is just absolutely absurd, It has a force feedback, so it literally pushes back on your foot as you're trying to give it gas, and it causes you to drive slower than an 80-year-old Asian lady. No offense intended. It's absolutely horrible. Another issue of mine is this shifter here. So I'm used to driving a standard shifter where you go all the way forward, it's park, you come back, it's reverse, and then neutral, and then drive. Okay, this, your park, is right here. Okay, now the problem with that is because this isn't the only vehicle I drive, and I have been driving this vehicle now for about a week, and I still have not, I don't want to say learned this, but got used to this. Okay, so typically when I'm driving into a parking spot, I go park. Well, I'm in reverse. I let off the brake, I go backwards. Okay, same thing for being in park. Okay, I want to reverse out of a parking spot, I go back one, what would normally be reverse, and I'm in drive. So I'm now going forward. Okay, another big issue that I just realized was because I took this through the car wash, and obviously you need to put it in neutral to put it in the car wash. Well, neutral is an absolute pain in the ass to find, because you have to just barely get it down here, but right before it goes into drive, and you'll get it into neutral. So you see what I mean here? So I'm going to try and put it in neutral. See, and it skips right through it if you go too far. So you have to almost just really creep up through there. There, I'm in neutral. It's very sensitive. It's really kind of a pain in the butt to get into. Obviously, again, once you do it numerous times, it probably becomes second nature. But it did take me probably about 30 seconds to get it into neutral once I pulled into the car wash. Okay, so this vehicle has your paddle shifters. Again, why, I have no clue, because this is just a little 4-cylinder. Granted, it has, I believe, 268 horsepower, which is not horrible. It does have some ridiculous turbo lag, and then of course this is mated to a CVT transmission, which is a continuously variable transmission, and it is, in my opinion, absolutely horrible. And when I do some driving around here in a second, I'll kind of see if I can't give you an idea of what I'm talking about. But if, say, for instance, you're coming to a red light, and you it changes green, and you're, you know, maybe 10 miles an hour, you get back into the throttle, the transmission takes 2 to 3 seconds to figure out what it wants to do. And then once it does, it slowly gets into it, and then next thing you know, it's full bore into it, and you're just like jerking back. The transmission gets really confused if you don't come to a complete stop and you try and continue moving on. Especially, you know, you want to do a quote-unquote California stop at a stop sign and not come to a complete stop. Well, the minute you get back into that throttle, the transmission gets confused, it doesn't know what to do, and it takes it a few seconds. Absolutely horrible. This CVT does act like it's shifting, so it gives you the appearance or appeal of an actual transmission by feeling like it's going through the gears. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it does. But anyway, so back here, back to the dash, we're going to go through here. We got obviously your music, compass, your information, your trip, time you've been driving, etc. And you can always, as you can see, hold the same button you're using to sort through this to reset any parameters you need. Here I'm averaging 24.4 miles to the gallon, which in my opinion is really not that great. I probably get 26 to 28 in my Q50 Red Sport that has 400 horsepower. So I mean, you take it like you want it. Again, this is an SUV. This is going to be for your radar for your cruise control. It does have that feature, which is kind of nice. And then of course you will adjust it right here. And then it has your lane departure warning. It does not have assist, so it will not attempt to keep you in the lane. It will just vibrate the steering wheel, letting you know you're leaving the lane. And of course your blind spot warning and your forward collision warning, which are all nice to have. Your maintenance schedule, and then any issues that you're having, any warnings or whatnot. If say you're low on windshield wiper fluid or something along those lines, it'll pop up here if you're throwing an engine code or something. But anyways, again, nothing too crazy here. Very standard, you know, very simple power seats, no memory control. This just has the standard audio system, which I believe is a 6-speaker. I will say for the standard audio system in the QX50, it is better than the standard one in the Q50. I don't really know what that's saying, but anyways. Then of course you have up here your panoramic roof control, your map lights. You turn on here and here, your SOS if by chance you are in trouble and need assistance, your sunglass holder. These are kind of interesting. They slide. You can see that. They slide to allow, which is kind of cool, but like in my Tacoma, which is nice, it has a little thing here that slides out, so you still can utilize all of this and then an extra piece, which is great for this side area. Okay, now I have the panoramic roof open. This is as far back as it goes, so it opens about as much as a normal sunroof, but a little bit wider. But I think more importantly, just that view of the all glass roof is really quite nice. My wife absolutely loves it, which, you know, as long as the sun is not in the 12 o'clock position, it's great to have open. Anyway, I think it's time to do a little bit of driving and see what this thing can do. All right, again, this is the 2020 Infiniti QX50 Edition 30, which is basically a 30-year anniversary edition for Infiniti. They have now been around for 30 years. Not too bad. Go ahead and buckle up here, because I will tell you, if you do not, this thing will not shut up, which is one thing I love about my Q50. It don't care if you wear a seatbelt or not. Then again, this is more of a family-oriented vehicle, so I can understand why they want to make sure you do wear a seatbelt. So we're going to take this thing out. I'm going to see if I can kind of show you some of the lagginess of this CVT transmission here. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it and get an idea. But here I'm going to be about 10 miles an hour. I'm going to get into this turn. I've given it throttle, and there it goes. See that lag there? It started to tip into the throttle just a little bit, but again, the transmission was still confused and did not know what I wanted it to do. And I did give that an even amount of throttle. Like, I tipped in and I left it there. Okay, this wasn't a constant go, you know, pressing of the throttle. All right, so I'm gonna get up here and see if I can get into a position where I can show you again. Obviously, I want to try not to run too many stop signs and such. Another thing to note, this car does get a lot of wind noise on the highway. I was very disappointed with that. I thought it would be a lot quieter, because it does have multiple seals at the doors to prevent this, but they don't really do that great of a job. there, I'm into it a little bit, almost $4,000. Not bad. As long as you come to a stop, it'll do what it's supposed to do. But I'll get over here. Let's see if I can let this car pass. I'm going to drop down to a low speed here. Get into it. You see that? I mean, that it took 2 or 3 seconds, and because of that lag, you tend to find yourself giving it more throttle than you need because you're wondering why it's not moving when you're giving it the gas. Okay, so I got a right-hand turn up here. See if I can what I can do here. So I'm gonna, that's not bad. And again, I have this in sport mode. Let me put it down to standard mode because that's probably typically what people are going to be driving in. And I will show you eco mode in just a second, and you will see how horrible that is. And the steering wheel is vibrating at me because I didn't use my turn signal. But I'm going to make a turn here. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to let out of the throttle, dip into it. You see how long that lag was? I did not give it any more throttle after I put my hand down like that. I kept, all right, shut up. I kept even in that throttle, and it took that long. Now I know part of that is probably turbo lag, which again, like I said, this thing is disgustingly horrible on. Okay, here I'm making a slow turn. We come out the turn, gas. It just takes so long. It's, you know, and I was almost recommending this car to my mom until I got a little bit more time behind the wheel, and you know, and I don't know if they've made any changes with this CVT for the 21 and 22 models. I can only hope they did, because it is just a horrible flaw in this otherwise fairly decent car. I'm gonna come around this little bend here. This thing doesn't like me not using my turn signal. And of course, you can adjust all these options in your Intuit or system options down here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into eco mode. Okay. Let me get off of this hill here, and I'm going to give it throttle, as much throttle as it will allow me to give it without it fighting me back to not give it any more throttle. And I want you to see how ridiculous this is. Okay, I'm at 30 miles an hour throttle now. That's as much throttle as it wants me to give it without fighting me. I'm at 32, 33, 36, 38, 40. That's as fast as it wants me to go. I'm coming up to a stop sign. And this is why I say, if you put this in eco mode, everyone is going to think you are an 80, 90-year-old lady or man, whatever, that does not know how to drive and needs to be off the road. Okay? You ready? Go. You can see how fast I'm moving. I just hit 10. I'm at 20. 30. 40. It's absolutely horrible. If you're in front of me in this car in eco mode, I will be honking at you to get them out of my way. can obviously override the pressure feedback that the gas pedal is trying to give you. Okay, it's basically just trying to make it the most economical for you, which, I mean, in all fairness, you know, you might get another mile per gallon. It's not going to do, excuse me, it's not going to do too much for you, because the minute you put any more pressure on that pedal than what it's wanting you to, your eco light goes off and it overrides the entire purpose. So you have to drive without giving it any more pressure. And again, when it's in eco mode, it'll be super, super light pedal, and then you will hit a wall. Okay, and you can go past that wall, but it takes pressure. Okay, but it doesn't want you to go past that wall, and if you do, it defeats the whole purpose of eco mode, which is just ridiculous. So I'm going to move me back up to standard here. I'm hopefully going to be able to take this turn at maybe 5 miles an hour so I can dip into the throttle again, and I want you to see what I'm talking about here. Okay, I got a green light. Okay, turn in, throttle dipped in. You see what I mean? And that again is why it makes you give it so much more throttle than you need. When in reality, if this transmission worked properly and the turbo lag wasn't so extreme, you would just barely have to give this gas and it would start to move. But you start to dip into the throttle, it doesn't move. So what do? You give it more gas because you're trying to move. Horrible, horrible, horrible. So let's see if we can do a little top end acceleration here. I'm going to turn around, see if we can give you an idea on top end acceleration here. So get my turn here. All right, and go. $60, $70, $80. It's not horrible. I mean, it does move if you make it move, but it doesn't want to. Let's see if I can do me another low speed turn here. And I'm going to try and just barely give it any gas this time, knowing that it's going to kick in super late, okay? So I've made my turn, a little bit of gas. Not moving. There we go. Starting to move. There we go. Now we're moving. That's how long that took. And that's that much throttle. When in reality, it should be going. But the transmission is so confused at what it needs to do that it just sits there and struggles to figure out how it wants to adjust the transmission to drive accordingly. Because again, this is a continuously variable transmission. Dipping into the throttle, there it goes. And you can hear it shifting, whereas, you know, a lot of the older CVTs would actually just sound like a constant drone. It would just go up to $5 or $6 grand and stay there, and it would just as you just continue to accelerate, kind of like a four-wheeler would, or one of the Razors, because they all have a continuously variable transmission also. See, just now starting to get into it. It's horribly, horribly laggy. I think if they would have put a normal 8-speed transmission, or even the 7-speed like they do in the Q50, it would be such a better car to drive. But I understand, you know, on a highway drive, a CVT transmission is going to give you the best fuel economy, because it doesn't just have 1 gear or 2 gears or 7 gears. It's continuously variable. So I'm going to come to a stop here again. I'm going to dip into the throttle just a little bit, like that. Okay, we're going. There we go. So the turbo doesn't even kick in till probably 2,500, 3 grand, okay? And if you're trying to get any type of fuel economy, you're not driving it that hard, or you shouldn't be, okay? If you're trying to put around town, save gas, you shouldn't be getting above 2,500 at best. Not till when it finally hits its power band and decides it wants to move, because without that turbo kicked in, this thing is absolutely disgustingly slow. I mean, I wish they would have did like a twin turbo setup and maybe added, you know, 2 different sizes, add your small and your big, so that way you can at least get a lot more low end power but still retain some of the upper end power. Or design it to where the turbos kick in at 1,500 RPMs, so it's a seamless transition of power through the throttle response. It would just make it a much more pleasing vehicle to drive. And here, I'm into the throttle. It shifted for some reason way down. There we go. There it goes. There. So yeah, I'm 3,500 to get it moving like this, and I just hit 50. Let's see if this thing can do a burnout. Huh. Not bad. It did. Through second gear too. Kind of felt like it was just slipping though, because normally you get a lot of torque steer in a front-wheel drive vehicle when you're peeling out, and it was surprisingly none whatsoever. I really just thought the transmission was slipping, which if I didn't hear that slight tire squeal, that's what I would have assumed. But anyway, that's enough for this test drive. I hope you liked this video. It's kind of a quick little deal here. Excuse me. It's kind of a quick little deal here because my Red Sport's at the Infiniti dealership getting some work done. Oh, see, again, I went to put it in park and I put it in reverse. Gotta push the button. Nope. See, it didn't go in. Now it's in park. Hate this shit. Oh, one last thing I will point out, and a nice little feature for this is it has this button right here next to your park and brake and your drive mode, okay? And it's called auto hold, all right? And basically what that does is if you push this button, okay, and say you're sitting in traffic, the minute you come to a complete stop, okay, you can then let your foot off of the brake and the vehicle will continue to hold the brake until you are ready to move by pressing the accelerator again, and then you can start to move. It's a fairly nice feature, especially if you do a lot of city driving or you know, Dallas traffic driving. If you live here, you know what I mean. But anyway, thank y'all so much for everything. I'm gonna shut this off here, do a couple more little bits here, and then kind of merge it all together and see what I can come up with. Thank you. All right, and a few more things I want to go over here. You obviously, this one has what I call a bird's eye view, but it has the 4 cameras on all 4 corners, which is wonderful, especially for parking or for people that are, you know, scared about rubbing up against a curb. You can change the different views, so you have your front, and then it gives you a line here, so if you're pulling up to the curb on the passenger side, it gives you a good idea on what to follow so you don't curb rash your rims or tires. Move through it again, you have your complete rear view, and then back to your GPS. Okay, and whenever you put it in reverse, this is the view you get. Well, excuse me, let's just put it in reverse. That has a forward view, so that's reverse. So it gives you your rear view, and then it gives you all 4 corners of the car to really assist you in parking this, okay? And then, you know, say let's go forward. Okay, I'm gonna drive forward. As you can see, I'm about to hit my garage, and it's warning me. It's telling me I have stuff on each side and in front. Okay, let's get away from the garage because I'm horrible about not putting this in park like you're supposed to. Okay, another neat little feature here is this auto hold button, okay? So what I'm gonna do, not sure if it works in reverse, but we're gonna try it. Auto hold, okay? That is on. I am at a complete stop, and does not work in reverse. Okay, we now know that. So, drive, auto hold on, brake off, foot off the brake, and it's still going. Okay, wow, that's that does not work. Well, why does that not work? That's what it's supposed to do. Maybe because I haven't actually drove the vehicle. Let's back up and go around the block real quick here. An idea. Okay. You can see the curb here. And that kind of helps you line it up. Obviously, I'm still a little ways away. But anyway, so let's put this back on GPS. Auto hold is on, I believe. I don't have my seatbelt on, so this thing will not shut up. Okay. All right, auto hold. So now I'm going to come up to this stop sign here. I'm going to come to a complete stop. Complete stop. Let off the brake. Foot is not on the brake. And it will not move until you give it gas. And then it goes. So kind of a nice little feature for when you drive a lot in traffic. Kind of help rest your foot a little bit. But I'll show you again here as I'm about to pull into the driveway. Okay. Excuse my painted toenails. I let my daughter paint my toenails sometimes. Come to a complete stop. Foot off the brake. I am not moving anywhere. My Tacoma. Gas and go. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video of the 2020 QX50 Edition 30, okay? It is a fairly nice vehicle. This is a loaner car from the Infiniti dealership because mine is getting worked on. And I've got to drive it for about a week. Pretty disappointed in it. The wife loves it. She does not like the lag, and it is noticeable to her, which, you know, for a lot of women, you know, they're not very... you know, savvy about cars, and when she points it out, it's obviously an issue. But anyway, with that being said, she just called. She's got breakfast ready. I'm sitting in the driveway. Time to eat. Appreciate it, y'all.